In this tutorial, we're looking at weapons, axes, daggers, swords, spears, even hammers. We're going to pick them up, and each weapon is going to have its own combo. All the animations are free and included. We just get them on Fab. They have their own charged attacks. We have a equip and an unequip setup. When a weapon is unequipped, we go back to punching. It all incorporates the 5.6 framework. So if you have any questions at all, please let me know, and we will endeavor to answer them as quickly and as simply as possible. Each weapon has its own damage setup, and it's going to be super easy to follow. So I hope you have a nice day, and thank you very much. First things first, we're going to launch 5.6. Go to games, go to third person, and then go to combat. And we're just going to create a new combat project. So now we're in our new combat project. We're going to go to variant combat and open up the level. First, we're going to go to blueprints, and we're going to create a new folder. So right click, new folder. We can call this pickups. Double click and open that. And then we're going to right click and create a new blueprint class of an actor. This will be BP base weapon. And then we need one more so right click, blueprint class, go to actor. This will be BP pickup. Then we're going to go to Fab, and we're going to get some weapons. So we'll go weapons, and we'll make the price free. And we're going to look for these free fantasy weapons here. I'm going to click add to project, select 5.4 and add to project. And then we're also going to want some animations as well. So we're going to get the sword animations that are free. So the sword animation by Motion Desire. And again, we're going to add to project, make it 5.5 and add. Okay, so while that's downloading, we're going to go to BP pickup, and we're going to add a spear collision, and then add a static mesh. So the spear collision will be when we overlap it, it will trigger something, and the static mesh will be a representation of our item. So we're going to right click on spear and add an event. So on component begin overlap. And then we want to make sure that the thing that we're overlapping is our character. So we're going to pull off here and go equals, say get player character. And then from this red node, we're going to pull off and press B, and that'll get us a branch. So if it doesn't equal our character, we're not going to do anything. But if it does equal our character, then we're going to do something. And the first thing that we're going to do is just destroy the actor. So we're going to destroy this actor. We're going to come up here and get rid of these begin overlap and event tick, and move this begin play down a little bit. And then we're going to press Control and space to go back to our browser here. And then we're going to right click and type in a structure. And this will be S, weapon, details. And we're going to open that up, and we're going to add two things in here. We're going to add a static mesh. And this will be a soft object reference. So this will be the static mesh. And then we want the actor to spawn to equip to our character. So we want the spawn actor. And this will be type actor. And it'll be a soft class reference. And then we'll save it. So in BP pickup, we're going to add a new variable of type data table row handle. This would be our pickup info. And then we're going to get that and drag it out here. And we're going to pull it out and select break data table row handle. And then we're going to right click, get data table row. And then plug data table and row name into here. And then from this out row, we're going to break it, break S weapon details. From row found, we're going to drag off and press S, and that'll get us a sequence. And then from here, we're going to async load. So we're going to async load asset. It's utilities one at the bottom. And static mesh is going to go into asset. And then this object, we're just going to cast to static mesh. And then we're going to set static mesh. And this pin from here needs to be moved to completed. So what this is going to do, this is going to, on a begin play, it's going to read our data table that was set up in a second. And it's going to get the static mesh info, which is a soft reference. So it's not loading all the references when we're loading our data table. And then it's going to load that via the async load. And what this top pin does is it runs code simultaneously, but once everything's ran and it's completed, once it's loaded and it's completed, it's then going to cast a static mesh, which is a base class, and set the static mesh of our new actor that we have here. On then one, we're also going to want to async, but this time we're going to async load class asset, and the spawn actor is going to go to the asset class. And then from there, we're going to cast to actor class. And again, we're going to move this to completed. This time we need to promote this to a variable, and this will be our pickup. And then finally, we're going to add another pin to our sequence because we want to rotate object. So we're going to right click somewhere where you got space, create a custom event, add custom event, and we're going to call this rotate. And then from this then to at the top, we're going to get rotate. But right now, rotate doesn't do anything. So let's set that up. And what we're going to do is we're going to do set timer by event. This return value we're going to promote to a variable. So drag off from return value, promote to a variable. And this will be our rotate timer. It's going to, on the time, we're going to do 0.01 and set it to looping. And then event, we're just going to grab off. And again, type in custom event. And this will be our rotate loop. And then we're going to create a function. So we're going to click this little plus button here. And this will be called spin. And inside spin, we're going to have an input of a vector. So we're going to go to detail, we're going to select spin, go to details, go to inputs, click the plus and select vector. And this will be the transform scale. And if we compile that, we just want to set the defaults here to be 1, 1, 1, and 1. And then from the top pin, we're going to do set relative transform. And we want the static mesh. And then we're going to right click this new transform and split it. And we're going to right click and say get game time in seconds. We're going to multiply that and type in 3. And then we're going to do a sine wave, so a sin in radians. And from get time in seconds, I'm going to multiply that as well again. And that will be 100. From sin, I want to get another multiply, and that will be 15. This transform, I'm going to right click it, select split. This is going to go into the Z. And then the rotation, I'm going to right click it and split. And the times 10 is going to go into the Z as well. And then new transform scale, just going to pull off new transform scale. And we're going to type in transform scale. And that will get this here, which will always default to 1. So what's this doing? This is getting our time in game seconds, timesing it by 3, and we're doing a sine wave, which is like a little wavy object, and we're applying that to the Z. So you're going to see it go up and down, and then this is going to rotate it as well. So it's going to rotate and go up and down. It'll look quite cool. Okay, so next we're going to press Control and Space. I'm going to right click, type in data table at the top, and we want this data table one here. And then we're going to select our S weapon details as the structure, and this will be DT weapon. Open that up, click on add. This first one will be our sword, and for now we're just going to have the static mesh be a cube, and the spawn actor will be BP base weapon. And we're going to click on the little save icon. Now in the world, I'm going to drag out the pickup, BP pickup. In BP pickup, I just want to make the pickup info here, this data table. We're going to make this instance editable and expose on spawn. And then in the world, go back to details. Then once we've compiled and saved that, we'll go back to the world, go to details, and then we've got pickup info just here. We can select our data table, which is DT weapon. Our row name is sword. And once we press play, and the reason that it's not spinning is because rotate loop hasn't called our spin function just here. So we're going to connect rotate loop here. And now if I press play, you can see that we have a spinning cube. Okay, so now in our base weapon, we're going to open up base weapon. We're going to add our static mesh to our base weapon. And then we're going to add a bunch of variables all on the bottom. So first one we need is the montage. And this will be an object reference. This will be our normal attack. And then we're going to press Control D to duplicate that. This will be our heavy attack. And then we're going to want one for damage. So this will be a float. This will be called damage. And then we're going to want one to say if we have it equipped or not. So I've named this one sheathed, if it's sheathed or not. And then we're going to want some more montages. And I'm going to make these ones soft object references. And this will be unequip. And we're going to press Control D again. And this will be equip. And then finally, we want 2 name variables here. And this will be sheathed socket and holding socket. Press compile and save. So back in BP pickup, we have our spin working, and now we want to see what happens if the other actor that we do overlaps, and what do we do in our pickup. So we're going to press Control and Space, go back to our pickups folder, right click, go to blueprints, create a blueprint interface, call this BPI weapon holder, double click into it, and we are going to say add weapon class, and our input here is going to be of type actor. It's going to be a class reference, and it's going to be of type weapon as our input. We'll compile and save that. Go back to BP pickup, and we're going to say from other actor for weapon add weapon class. I'm going to stick that in true and carry on there. And this weapon class that we're going to add is this pickup. And then once that has finished, we want to clear and invalidate the timer because we don't want the timer to keep running. So we're going to get rotate timer. And we're going to do clear and invalidate timer by handle. And that will stop the timer running. And then we're going to destroy the actor as well. So we're going to compile and save that, just so we've not got any loose references. But what are we telling is picking up the weapon class. So we're going to go back to blueprints, go to combat character, go to class settings, and you can see here we've already got some implemented interfaces. So we're going to click add. I'm going to add the new one of weapon holder. And then if I compile and save it, on the interfaces on the left, I should have this new weapon class called add weapon class. So what we're going to do is we're going to check if we already own the actor. So we need a variable of type actors. So actor object reference, and this will be our owned weapons. And it'll be our type array because we want to hold multiple. So this is a single, so it can only hold one, and we need it to be an array so that we can hold multiple. We're also going to, while we're down here, we're going to press Ctrl D and duplicate that. And this will be our current weapon, and that does need to be a single. And then we're going to add one more variable. This will be of type integer, and this will be our current weapon index. Okay, so we're going to get our owned weapons, and then we're going to do a for each loop, and we're going to check the array element, and we're going to see is a. So from array element, we're going to type in is a, and we'll get is a, which is here. We'll put weapon into there, and this will return whether or not is the same class. So if we have a weapon that's the same class as this weapon, it'll say whether it's true or not. So we're going to go from here, drag out return value, press B to get a branch, add the loop body. So then we're going to highlight all 4 of these nodes, and we're going to right click and turn them into a function. And this will be our is weapon owned function. I'm going to double click on that. And then I want to right click and add a return node. And that, go to details. I'm going to add an output of a Boolean. And this will say whether we already owned it. And then we can get the array element here and pass it straight into the add pin there. And this will be the found weapon details. We might need this later. So if it's true, then it's already owned. And if it's not true, then we untick it and put this on completed. So on completed, it returns with no found weapons, and it's false. So we can compile that, come back to the event graph. We can get owned here, drag out and get a branch. And if that is not true, then from false, we're going to spawn actor from class. And the class will be this weapon. And the transform can just be get actor transform. It's not really going to matter because we're going to attach it to our character. And then we want instigator and owner to be self. So connect both of those here. And then owned weapons, we're going to get this out. And we're going to go add. And return value is going to go in here. And then I want to do it so that the one that we run over is the one that's equipped. So I'm going to get current weapon index and set it. And then from current weapon index, we're going to drag off and press S and get sequence. And we want to check if the current weapon that we've got is valid. And if it is, then we don't want that one to be equipped anymore. So we're going to do something here that's not quite set up yet. We're going to set it up in a sec. So we're going to then get current weapon and set it on them one. And the return value from here will set our current weapon. And then we want to do some other stuff as well. So we want to like equip the weapon and get all of its features as well. So let's set that up. So we'll go control space, go back to our pickups folder, and we'll right click and get a blueprint interface again. So this will be BPI weapon details. We'll double click to open that up, and the first one will be weapon variables. And on output, we're going to want 3 outputs. 2 of them are going to be anim montages. So anim montage, and then the final one will be float. The first one is our normal attack. The second one is going to be our heavy attack. And the third one is going to be our damage. We're going to add a new function here. And this will be our sheath or unsheath. And this one will need an input, and it will need to be a skeletal mesh asset component, skeletal mesh component, and this will be the mesh to play on. And then we want to duplicate that, and this will be equip or unequip. And again, skeletal mesh to play on is fine. We're going to add a new one here for boolean, and this will be unequip. And then we want to add a new function, and this will be is weapon sheathed. And the reason for this is I need to check the outputs. So we'll get boolean here and type in sheathed. And then finally, we're going to do set hidden as well. And that needs to have an input of a boolean, and that needs to be set hidden. And we'll go through what all these mean as well. So back inside, so we press control space, go to BP base weapon, go to class settings, go to interfaces. I'm going to add the weapon details, and then we should see our interfaces here. So we'll do set hidden first. So double click it, and we'll do set at hidden in game. And that will handle that. And then we can do is weapon sheathed, and we can connect sheathed here. And then finally, weapon variables, and we can just connect the normal attack, the heavy attack, and the damage just here. Compile that. Go back to event graph, and then we're going to set up. We'll do event sheathed or not sheathed. So that's like putting your weapon away. So we'll double click on that, and we'll get a branch. We'll get sheathed, and we'll right click and do play montage. Go to true. Mesh to play on is our skeletal mesh that we want, and then we want the equip from true. So our equip, we get that, plug that into montage to play, it will convert it. And then we're going to, from false, do play montage. Mesh to play on is our skeletal mesh. Unequip we'll get and plug that into montage to play. And then on notify begin, we're going to set sheathed to be false. And we want to attach actor to component. And it's the mesh to play on that is the parent. Target is self. Connect that all up, and all of these locations are snap to target. And the socket name that we want here is our holding socket. And then if we just grab all that and control D it, and on the bottom, on notify begin, connect it to sheathed, except this time we're going to tick it. And then the parent is again mesh to play on. And the socket name that we've got is our sheathed socket. compile that and play. For the time being, I'm just going to put it on the top one as well, because we don't have any animations to play, and it will get stuck here if it doesn't do anything. And then we want the event equip or unequip, and we're going to do grab out Shift, set it here. And then we want another attach actor to component. Mesh to play on goes into parent. Target is still self. And then from this socket name, we want to select. And if it's sheathed, it's going to choose a different one. And if it's not sheathed, it's going to choose a different one as well. Locations all need to be snapped to target. So we want the holding socket if it's false, and the sheath socket if it's true. Because what we want to do is we're going to have an event that equips and unequips our weapons, and then when we spawn a new one, we want to equip it in the same slot that it was. So if we swap our weapon and it's on our back, then we want to keep it on our back when we equip a new one. So back in combat character, if we already have a weapon out, then we're going to need to pull off from current character and set hidden as a message. This will be true. And then we're going to equip the new weapon on this bottom one. So from current weapon, we're going to do equip or unequip. And our mesh to play on is going to be our mesh. And unequip is false. And then we want a new custom event. Add custom event. And this will be an init weapon. So this will initialize all the weapon variables. I'm going to call that from the top here. We're going to get current weapon. And we're going to call weapon variables on it. And then here we have the melee attack on our left side. So we want the combo attack montage, charged attack montage. And we want, not the trace, the melee damage. Then we're just going to stick all of these across like so. And connect them up. Okay. So we want to set up the ability to sort of put our weapon away. So we're going to right click and press the 2 key. And then we're going to get our current weapon. We're going to right click that and check that it's valid. Because if it's not valid, we don't want to do anything. And if it is valid, then we're going to call sheath or unsheathed. And we're going to pass mesh into mesh to play on. And so we're going to then say, if we have a weapon in our hand, and we're going to press 2, it's going to say in our base weapon to run this sheathed or unsheathed here. And if it is already put away, we're going to get it out. And if it's already out, we're going to put it away. And that's what this is doing here. So back in our weapon, back in our character, we want to be able to cycle between weapons. So I'm going to right click and press the 1 key. And then I'm going to get owned weapons and get it. And I'm going to check the length of it. Type in length. And from there, I'm going to check if it's greater than 1. Get a branch. Move this to pressed. And then get current weapon. And we're going to set it to hidden. But then we will also want to check that it's valid. So convert to validate, get it's valid. Because if it should always be valid, because we should always have at least one item in. But if for whatever reason we just want to catch it, then we want to do is weapon sheathed, because each of these is a instance, each of these weapons. So if it is sheathed, I need to find out if it's sheathed get this current weapon before I move it to the next one. And then owned weapons, we're going to get the last index and see if that is equal to the current weapon index. So if it is the last weapon, and if it's not, then I want to do a plus. So from current weapon index +1. And then we'll do, from this red node, we'll do a select int. A will be 0 because it'll put it back, and B will be this new set here. And then get current weapon index again and set it, and connect is weapon sheathed up here. And drag this over a bit to tidy it up. And then get owned weapons. And from here, we want to type in get. So we want to get a copy. We want to do it at this weapon index array. So this will read our owned weapon index. So if we have weapon at 0, weapon at 1, it will then set it to what the new one will be. We'll get a set current weapon and connect it all up here. And then from current weapon, we're going to call equip or unequip. And that's going to be equal to sheathed. And the mesh to play on is going to be our mesh. And then we want to set hidden, and we want that to be false, just in case we've had it before. Then we want to init the weapon again. So that will be when we've changed our weapon, and we'll compile and save that. Okay, so now we've got some weapons, so we can close everything. So right click on level combat, close tabs to the right, control space, and go to our base weapon. So we're going to right click base weapon, create a child blueprint. This will be BP sword, and then open up BP sword, go to the static mesh, and we'll get a sword that we've downloaded, compile that. And now if we go to DT weapons, our sword is here. Our static mesh we can change to sword, and instead of BP base weapon, it will now be BP sword. So save, and if we come to the BP sword itself, we've got all of these. So our normal attack for now will be our combo attack, our charged attack will be our charged attack. This will deal 5 damage. It's not going to be sheathed. We don't have an equip or unequip stuff yet. Our sheath socket will be spine 01 for now. And our non-sheath socket is hand grip R. So capital H, capital G on hand grip R. If you want to find that, you can go to the skeleton. So if we go back to combat character, and then we can go to mesh, details, Twin Simple, go to the skeleton, and see hand grip L here, and then we've got hand grip R as well. So this needs to be exactly like for like. So now if I press play, you should see here's a sword bouncing up and down. Looks really nice. We equip it, it equips straight to our hand. I press 2, it's on my back, and we have collision turned on, so we'll sort that in a sec. I press 2 again, it's back to my hand. Beautiful. Let's sort out the collision. So control space to go back to our content browser, variant combat, blueprints, pickups, base weapon, find static mesh, and we'll scroll all the way down to collision. We want no collision. Compile and save that. Go back to BP sword, press Control D. This will be BP underscore spear. Open that up. Everything stays the same apart from our static mesh, which we want to change to a spear. And then we can press a little reset button on the material to make sure it's the right material. Go to DT weapons, Control D, the row name, and we want spear. Change the static mesh to spear. Change the spawn actor to spear. And then in level combat, we want to grab our spawner, press Ctrl D again to duplicate it, go to details, change this to spear. Press play. Now we've got a spear and a sword bouncing around thanks to that sine wave. We're going to equip this sword and then run over, and now we've got a spear. So if I press 2, the spear goes to our back. Don't worry, we're going to sort all these sockets and rotations and everything. Press 2 again, comes back to my hand. This will be a montage in a second as well. So now if we press 1 to change our weapon, there's our sword appearing. Press 2 and it equips. And then if we press 1 again, it goes back to our spear. And it's in the same place, in the same socket as we had before, which is what we were after. And that's all being handled because inside base weapon, we're doing this sheathing, which is our equip. So we can highlight that and say equip. And then we can highlight that and say unequip. And we've got our actual like pickup event, probably a bad name for it. So it's like the pickup event here rather than the equip or unequip. So what we can do now then is, first off, we need to go into our weapon pack, go to meshes, go to weapons, weapons kit, and find the sword. I want to add 2 sockets. One will be the end. Go to the other socket, rename it. This will be the start, lowercase, because I've spelt them lowercase. So it has to match what we're looking for. Just move 1 to the tip and the start to the start. One other thing, it's not equipping how I want it to. So if we look here, you can see all the others sort of go handle up, whereas this one goes handle down. So we're going to drag out the static mesh here, go to our selection modeling tool, selection mode, modeling, go to X form, go to transform, and I'm just going to flip it around 180 degrees. Click complete, and then make sure that the new asset folder is the current folder so it overwrites what we've got, and then we're going to bake it. And now if I go back to selection, select play, when I equip this sword, it's in the right spot, and we are doing our silly sort of punching combo, which we don't want to do. So we're going to go back to our content browser, so Control Space, go back to our content browser, go to content, go to sword animations, and here's our heavy attack. I'm going to right click on our anim attack light 01, create an anim montage, and then I'll right click on our anim attack heavy startup, create a montage. We'll start with the light attack, and we'll also need, so if we go to BP sword, go to the details, we've got AM combo, so I also need that to be open as well, because we want to copy this combo name and change the default. Make sure you press enter to confirm that. Then we're going to go to asset browser, and this light 02 attack we're going to drag in. This light 03 attack we're going to drag in. I'm going to pause that. Right click to create a new montage section. Paste in the name, but change it to melee 02. Right click to create a new montage section for melee 03. And we're going to just adjust them so that they are on where the montage ends. And then in our montage sections, just going to come here and remove the links. And then finally, if we check AM combo attack, we need to get check combo and deal melee damage. So right click, add notify. I'm going to do attack combo, which is the check combo. We're going to add a new track so that we've got extra space to put our do melee damage. And then we're going to right click and get attack damage. In the second one, we're going to add a attack combo. And again, we're going to do attack damage. But in the third one, we're only going to add attack damage. And this is our trace that we've set up. So right about, I want to do the attack combo, and then I want to check the combo just about here. And then this one's pretty early. Do the melee damage, check the combo just about there, and then again do melee damage just here. So if we go to BP sword and go to details, we should now be able to change this normal attack to be our anim light 01 montage, and we can check that. So we can press play, get our sword, and there we are, we're doing our attack combo. Looks a bit funky, and the reason for that is that our root motion isn't turned on. So we'll go to sword animations, go to animations, select all of the light attack, so you can press Control, select each. Then we're going to right click and go to asset actions, edit selected in property matrix, and select enable root motion on all of these. We'll get our sword, and now you can see that we are doing our sword combo. The root motion on the last one isn't quite there, but we have a sword. We have a charged attack, but we want to change that to be our sword charge attack. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get rid of our combo attack, get rid of our attack light, start up our heavy startup, find the idle and drag that in, and find the release and drag that in as well. This idle is a little bit long, so I'm going to change the play rate to be 2 to make it a bit shorter, and then click pause just there. I'm going to go back to BP sword, go to details, click on this little thing to find the charged attack, and then we're going to, the first one is default, that's easy. The second one is charge. We want to copy the word charge, right click, create a new montage section, paste it. Just make sure it's on the end of one. Right click, create a new montage section, and this one is attack, I think. Double check that. Yep. And then we'll drag that over. Charge needs to be looping, so we're going to click on charge, go to montage sections, and charge will loop to charge. That's how we change it, like that. And zoom this in a little bit. And then we want do charged attack, or check charge attack, and do melee damage. So we're going to go back to our startup one. We're going to right click on this one, add notify, and we want to do charged attack. So this will check charged attack. Another one of those at the end. Then finally, where we're doing our attack, just here, insert a new track, and then we can say attack damage. So we'll do the trace just about here. To see what we've hit. Like that. So now we should be able to pick up a sword. If we go back to our sword, BP sword, and we go down to heavy attack, and we can change it to heavy startup montage, and click play. And now when we've got a sword, press the button, we're doing our heavy attack, we're charging it, let go, and bam. And the reason it springs back is, again, we need to change the root motion. So go to content, find the sword animations, animation, root motion, select all three, go to asset actions, edit selection, enable root motion, click save. Now we want some equip animations, and to do that, we're going to go to mixamo. We're going to go to characters, we're going to grab any character, and we're going to click download, and it's the original pose FBX that we want. And then animations, we're going to grab a equip animation. There's not many, so I'll just grab this equip overarm one just here. So click that and download it. And then inside your project, go to the content drawer. Just going to create a new folder for our mixamo animations. Mixamo. And then I'm going to import the character, so character 2. And just click import. And then we're going to import unarmed equip over shoulder and make sure that it's character 2 skeleton. So let's import on that. Double click it to make sure that it's fine. Yep. And then right click it and we're going to retarget it to the mannequin. Make sure that we got the right one. So we want the Quinn simple one. And then if we double click this, you can see what it looks like on the new one. So that's fine. So we're going to export the animations. Just going to do them back into the mixamo folder. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to duplicate it. So Control D to duplicate the new Quinn one. And this will be unequip. And what we'll do with that is we'll do rate scale, turn it to -1 to reverse it. Like that. And then all of this mixamo stuff that we just downloaded, just going to delete it. I only need it as a third party to move the animations to the new character. So we're going to select both of these, right click them, create anim montages. The equip one, right where we're doing an equip. So just about here, going to right click and add a montage notify. And let's call this equip. And then for the unequip, do the same thing. Find where it's about to put the sword away. Just there. Right click. Add notify. Montage notify. Unequip. And save it. And then what we can do inside our base weapon is we can disconnect these top nodes now because we've got equip montages. And we can go to sword. And now we've got an unequip montage. So unequip and a equip one. Go back to our level. Pick up our sword. Press 2. And there we go. We're unequipping it. And we're equipping it again. Beautiful. So now we need to change the socket that we're attaching to. So we're going to go back to our combat character. Go to our mesh. Go to Quinn. And select it, and I'm going to find spine 01. Spine 01. Now I don't want to adjust the spine, so we're going to right click. We might want to go up actually. So no, we want spine 05. We're going to right click on spine 05, add a socket, and I'm going to call that the sheathed socket. And then I'm going to right click sheath socket and add a preview mesh, and this will be the sword static mesh. And then I'm going to play with that. So I'm going to rotate it around again. And then we're going to select the translate, the little icon that brings it up. And I'm going to bring it up and round. Once I'm happy with the sword, I'm going to select and add a new preview asset, make that the spear. And that looks pretty good as well. And so now I want this sheath socket, so I want the name of it. So we're going to rename it and Control C it. Go back to BP spear and select BP spear. And then we want the sheath socket to be the sheath socket. I'm really good at naming stuff. BP sword, the sheath socket to also be the sheathed socket. And now, when I go to put the sword away, there we go, it's nice and away. Bring it out again, and there we go, it's out. Obviously these animations are from Mixamo, which isn't great, but they work. So now when I get the spear, it's back in my hand, because that's how I've set it up, so that if I run over something, it goes to my hand. Put it away. Doesn't have an unequip animation, which is annoying. Change the sword, put the sword away, and then we'll swap to the spear, and the spear socket is not right. BP spear. Sheathed socket. Did we save and compile it? No, BP spears. What have I changed? So BP spear didn't save its new sheath socket. So we'll compile and save that again. That is right. Now we can go back to our spear, press 2, because it's disconnected. Press 2 to unequip that, and then we'll change it, and there it is. So let's add in to BP spear. Let's go with our equip and unequip. So unequip and equip. And then press play. And press 2. There we go. Unequipped it. Get it back. And there we go. Okay, so if we come back to our combat character now, and we go up to the line trace here, we turn this to full duration, we start to see a bit of a problem. So here's our punch combo that just creates a spear around where it is, which is quite a large spear. And if I go to our sword and add the sword in, you can see that it's sort of doing it where the hand is and where we would expect, but that's not really how a sword swing works. We kind of want that to be in line with the actual sword itself. So this is just doing one attack trace from anim notify, attack damage, animation notifies. And ideally what we want is to trace through the whole swing. So if we go to variant combat blueprints, BPI attacker, and then here we've got do attack trace. And what we are going to do is we're going to create a new one called do weapon trace, and compile and save it. Go back to combat character, and we should now have an interface for do weapon trace. We'll grab that out. And we also then want another one for, so we're going to grab this again and say add a new one, and we want one for stop weapon trace. Compile that, go back to combat character. We can also get the stop weapon trace. So from event do weapon trace, we want to get the current weapon, and we're going to right click it to convert it to a validate get. And this checks if we actually do have a current weapon. And then from here, we're going to get component by class, and we want to get the static mesh component. And then we're going to get socket location. We're going to do that twice. And this will be the start, and this will be the end. And then from here, from the is valid, we're going to set timer by event and promote the return value to a variable. And this will be our trace event. And then from this event, we're going to make it 0.01 seconds and looping. And then the event, we're going to drag off and make it a new custom event. And this will be our sword trace loop. So when we start our trace, we're going to check if it's valid, and then we're going to start a timer that loops around, and that timer is going to basically do the same as what we do up here. So what we can do is pack this, so highlight all this, right click it, collapse it to a function. And this will be, instead of new function, this will be our trace function. Got start and an end. Probably could have included object types in here as well. So then we're going to get our trace function all the way back down. We're going to get our trace function, and we've got a start and an end. And then we're going to copy object types because I'm lazy. Grab that, Control C, and then Control V, and shove that array into there. And then everything that happens in here is going to be the exact same as what we've got before. So we don't need to worry about any of that. We just want it to start from our start and stop. And when we're stopping, then that's really simple. Get this trace event, and we'll do stop, and we'll do clear and invalidate timer by handle, and compile that and save it. So this is our weapon trace, and then we need to call it. So inside our anims, we've got this combo attack and attack damage. So we're just going to create a new one. Right click, blueprint class, all classes, anim notify, and this will be an anim notify state. We want it to run the entire time that we're in this state. So ANS weapon trace. We'll open that up. We can click on override and get notify begin. Click on override and get notify end. On notify end, we're going to get owner, and then we'll do the stop weapon trace message, and tick the return value. And on notify begin, we're going to do the same, but get owner, and then we're going to do start weapon trace. Where are you? Do weapon trace and pass that into here. And then inside our montage for our sword, we can go to the light attack, and do this melee attack damage here. We can actually just delete that and right click, add notify state, ANS weapon trace. And it's going to start about there and then continue for the entire time that this is active, because we're looping it. And then it's going to stop. Oh, this is quick, isn't it? Just about here. So we're swinging, move it along a bit, and then it stops. We just need to repeat that for all the others. So instead of do melee attack, we're going to have the trace be from about there. So right click, add notify state, weapon trace. And it's going to trace all the way up to about there. And the same for the final one. Weapon trace. Yeah, there we go. So now when I pick up a sword and do an attack, you can see that I'm tracing alongside my weapon trace. The only thing is we don't want the... So now when I hit this, it does exactly what we need it to do. We might not want the spear, the radius even, to be that big. So we can plug the radius into this node here, delete it from there, go back to our event graph, and I only want the radius to be like 10. Then at the top where I'm punching, I always think this radius is too big anyway, so I'm going to have it be like 30 instead. So now I've got a much smaller radius, it's much more accurate, and if I go to my sword, it's accurate there as well. Just need to make sure that our sword has our sockets. You can see that we've changed the thing, so our sockets have changed. So move that back to where it should be, because we've changed the rotation, so our sockets don't go alongside it, which is a bit frustrating. And well, if you missed that part about the sockets, then just open up the static mesh of the sword, go to socket manager, click plus, start and end. I'm pretty sure I included it, but just in case. So now you can see it follows the sword. And then when we stop, it's not tracing anymore. We just need to add that to our heavy attack as well, and jobs are good and all the attacks are sorted. So now currently there is our sword attack, but if I stow my sword and start attacking, then it will still do that attack. What we need to do to fix that is, where we're doing our play montages, we're going to get our current weapon, and this charge attack montage, we're going to duplicate that. This will be our unarmed charge attack, and our combo attack, we're going to duplicate that. This will be our unarmed combo. Our current weapon, we're going to turn to a validated get to make sure that it's valid. And if it's not valid, we're going to play the montage anyway. If it is valid, then we're going to do a is weapon sheathed call, and the target will be current weapon. Then from montage to play, we're going to make this a select. Sheathed goes into the index. The play goes into the play montage. Combo attack montage goes into false, because this will always be our weapon. And then unarmed combo goes into true. We're going to grab this setup here, these 4 nodes, and copy them. And we need to make sure that they're in here, this montage jump section. So make sure that they are in between and before we get the montage jump section. Put unarmed combo into true. And now when we play, we've still got our normal combo, that's going fine. Get the sword, we've got our sword combo, perfectly fine. Unequip the sword, and there's our punch combo as well. And now we just need to do the same for our charged attack. We've already duplicated the charge attack. Just need to add in the select and the stuff there. So copy and paste it down to play the charged attack montage. Is not valid into play montage. Is weapon sheathed into play. And then we want to get the charged attack montage into false and the unarmed charged attack montage into true. Then finally into this jump to location montage jump to section just below it on check charged attack. Just need to put it into this section as well. And that's it. Ready to go.